Unlock the secrets of franchising success with the Franchise Life podcast. Hosted by Stacey Shannon. Join us for expert insights, success stories, and practical tips every week. Subscribe now and take your franchise journey to the next level.
Hello and welcome to the Franchise Life. Today I have Brigham Dallas, who is the founder of 𝐻𝐿𝐿 Welcome, Brigham.
Hey, thanks for having me, Stacey. Pleasure to be on your show.
My pleasure. All right. So 𝐻𝐿𝐿. I love things in the health and beauty space, so I've been excited about this. So Brigham, you founded the company in 2015. You first started franchising in 2021. And since then, you have grown to over 102 locations that are open across the nation today. That is phenomenal, and congratulations.
Yeah, thank you. I mean, it's been an incredible growth. It's been an incredible ride. 102 locations in 3.5 years it's been a cool journey for sure.
Absolutely. Okay, so what is 𝐻𝐿𝐿?
Yeah, 𝐻𝐿𝐿 is a hair removal concept. So we do Brazilian waxing, sugaring, and laser. And we start off in salon suites, which are like really tiny, low cost to start up, 2-month build out concepts. And then we incubate them, build their memberships, season the staff, season you as an operator. And then once it's ready, we move that into a flagship location. So that by the time we move it into a flagship, which is a typical build of 300,000 to 400,000, that's a little bit scary. By that time, it's already enough revenue to cover rents. It's enough revenue to know that that location is going to be solid and work, so that the big expense, that huge $400,000 expense or $300,000 expense, is not so cumbersome at that time. And yeah, so that's the concept. Build a bunch of suites, incubate them, turn them into flagships when they prove maturity.
I absolutely love that. I don't know of another brand in this space that takes that approach. Typically, investors are having to wait 9+ months after finding the locations and doing the build out and everything to just open that flagship location. So the opportunity to build a business, as you call it, the incubator, in a salon suite type environment is fantastic. And is that the approach you've taken from the beginning, or have you did that transition as you started growing the brand?
No, I mean, from the beginning. So in 2015, when I started 𝐻𝐿𝐿, I didn't have a lot of money. And at the time, I had a friend of mine who was an esthetician, and she was complaining to me about how much she paid in taxes. She said, I had to pay $20,000 in taxes this year. And I'm like, whoa, how much money did you make? And she goes, I think I made $100,000. And I'm like, whoa, like, tell me more about this. Like, well, what are you selling? She goes, I do Brazilian waxing. I do them in 15 minutes and I can do 4 an hour. It's like, you're making $108 an hour. You're making more than a lawyer doing Brazilian waxing. This is crazy. How much is your cost? And she's like, oh, it's like $3. I'm like, whoa, like, how do you get clients to come in the door? And she goes, oh, I just ran a Groupon and people found me. And then like my mind's just spinning at this point. Like I'm a digital advertiser by trade. So I've been doing advertising for a long time, helping other businesses make money. And I was like, I could definitely do better than just Groupon. Like I can make a really good advertising program. I was like, well, how do you get your clients to come back? And she said, I just, hair grows back every month. So it's a recurring revenue stream. And so taking what I knew at that time, I said, okay, would you come down and train an esthetician for me? So I brought her down to Arizona, flew her down. I put my shop in the back of a plastic surgeon's office. They had a free room. And so I started running there, and I pitched him on the idea of saying, look, it's your same clientele. So you could upsell them to your services through 𝐻𝐿𝐿. And so that was like the idea of how to get started. So I started in a salon suite concept. And then once it became, viable and it's running a little bit, I put my entire life savings into building a flagship. My first flagship was $150,000. I had maxed my credit cards, maxed a loan, did a line of credit, and used every dollar in my bank account. But I sat at that place thinking one day, I was like, if worst case scenario, we do just as well we've done in this like closet of a space in the back of a plastic surgeon's office, I know I can at least pay my rent and I know I can at least like not be destitute after opening this. So I felt okay going forward because I had that proof of concept out of the suite model. So when we franchised, that was the pitch that I did to everybody. I was like, look, try it out. You don't know what you don't know. Build a location, season it, make money from day one, and then pull that into a flagship when the flagship's ready. And that's been a really great model so far.
How fascinating. I have heard you share this story before, your background and how it started at a conference. And it is so inspiring because it's like, you overcame all the challenges. You put everything on the line because you believed you could do it and you made it happen, however that took. So I absolutely love that story. Okay, so diving into the business model, one thing that stood out, and I didn't even realize until you just shared it, is you do laser in addition to waxing and the sugaring. You do laser, which I don't think most competitors in this space offer that. Would that be accurate?
Yeah, I think we're the only, I think European just started offering laser as well. So we started offering it this year, and it's been a challenge, right? Because every state has different laws associated with laser. Not every esthetician can operate a laser in every state. So some states they have to use nurses, which really makes it hard for a waxing salon to run laser. We're doing a lot of stuff to like overcome these things. And we started middle of the year with just me starting laser in one of my salons. And now we have, I think, 8 locations with laser. And by the end of the year, we'll have 17. So within, 6 months of time, we'll have 17 of the 102 that have laser. And it's been wildly successful up to now. So some of the metrics I'd like to share is laser's accounting for about 20% of the revenue in the salon, but laser's running at an 85% gross profit, meaning that you make $10,000 in revenue, 8,500 goes directly to the bottom line because you don't have any service costs, not a lot of service costs associated with running light, right? Like there's a medical
Right.
director, you have insurance, and you have the operator, but the operator expenses is relatively low compared to the revenue that's generated from it. So it's been really, really good for profitability for these locations that are running it. I mean, I'm like blown away at how well they're doing now. And we have a flywheel effect that you can't find at other places. So a Milan laser, Ideal Image, Laser Way, they're charging $5,000 to do laser in a bikini area. We can get away with charging $1,360 to $1,400 because we're not having to acquire customers and we're not having to use nurses. So we can lower our costs a lot more compared to them. And our acquisition cost is like free bikini wax. So we'll take them in on a free bikini, upsell them to a Brazilian wax. When they come in, we say, hey, you'd be a good candidate for laser. Would you like to try this? Upsell them to laser right after.
Wow, incredible. So most people are familiar with what waxing is, right? I mean, you can really do it anywhere on the body, but sugaring is a newer concept. So can you share what the difference between waxing and sugaring is?
Yeah, I mean, from a business perspective, what we need to know is that there are some people that wax and will never sugar, and there are some people that sugar and will never wax. And so by offering both, we increase our average unit volume of a store because we can offer more services to find the right one for people. From a customer's perspective, the sugar is organic. It looks a lot like honey. It You don't use strips with it. You like literally just apply it to the skin. And the way you pull it off and the way that it works on your skin leaves far less redness. And for most people, it hurts less. And so it's the right product for people that have sensitive skin. So we offer both. Sugar's a little bit of a premium. You're going to pay a couple of extra dollars more, but I would say half of our clients are sugaring clients.
And is this sugar, is it a proprietary product or is it something exclusive to Hello Sugar?
Yeah, it's an exclusive product to Hello Sugar. We actually sell it on Amazon as well.
Oh, do you really?
Yeah, we just put it on about a month ago. So it's Smooth by Hello Sugar is our name on there. But it's yeah, I started making this sugar in my garage for like a year trying to figure this out. Like I bought a big crawdad pot for like $600 and had a wooden stick and was like just mixing this thing and trying to figure it out. You know, there's not a lot of ingredients. So like the ingredients are not proprietary. It's water, sugar, and lemon, but it's extremely complex to get the right temperatures right. Because it's almost like if you go too long, it's like making candy. You make it rock hard and you can't even chew it. And if you go too short of a time, it's too runny. And so you've got to find that perfect consistency. But once the product was good, we sent it off to a manufacturer who has like far more sophistication than I would, and he's the one that makes it now for us. Yeah, it's our own blend.
Love it. Okay, so let's talk about the business model. We've covered the services that you offer at Hello Sugar. So again, you can start in a salon suite type of environment, grow into your flagship location. One of the attributes that I love about, concepts such as Hello Sugar is the membership model. So, just kind of talk us through what the average membership per membership cost looks like, and maybe what percentage of your clientele do become members.
Yeah, when we thought about our membership, we wanted to lower the barrier to entry to almost nothing. So we tested a bunch of different things in terms of what to charge for our membership. We rounded out at $7. $5 was too cheap. $10 started to have some reduction in conversions. And so right in the middle, $7. And so when people get the membership, they receive 20% off all services in exchange for prepaying for their services on the first of the month. That's about how the membership works. And when you think about that, a Brazilian wax, 20% off is more off the next time you come in than the cost of the membership itself. So it makes no sense not to get the membership at any time. No pausing, no cancellation fees. So 70 to 75% of all of our revenue is membership based. And it's recurring revenue of people coming in month over month. And what's nice about this is they add on other services. So if we have their credit card on file, it's likely that they're going to add on a brow, an underarm, or a leg of some sort. 1 in 3 people that come in the salon are going to add on services. And so there's a great upsell opportunity on the Brazilians to the other services.
And then I imagine, do you sell product in the salons also, or?
We do. Admittedly, we're weak on products. I don't think that's our strong point. And if I had the choice between selling product or membership, I want to sell membership all day.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And I think our products, like, these products we sell are going to be like your raspberry, like the hair growth serums to like prevent ingrown hairs and stuff. We sell a decent bit of it, but it's not like it doesn't move the needle for me in terms of profits. I mean, it's very minimal in terms of what it actually produces for the franchise owners.
Gotcha. So in the flagship location, what does a standard employee model look like? And why don't you share from whether they're an owner operator to a semi-involved owner?
We call this an executive business model. So when I started the business, coming from tech, it was look at all the variables. The more variables that the franchise owner has to do, the more opportunity for failure, right? Because somebody might not be good at sales, so marketing might suffer. Somebody might not be good at hiring, so that might suffer. So we started looking at all the variables and we said, how do we do these or provide a service for franchisees to secondary service that franchisee in a way that helped them, right? And so things like marketing. Well, Hello Sugar Media is a full-on media company. You can tell them, hey, we want to spend $1,500 a month, $2,000 a month, and we'll go out and do all the socials. We run ads every month. We have a full team of people that work on the ads and building them and running them on the different platforms. And we get very, very strong acquisitions. And that company's main motive is just provide low-cost leads to come in the door. And we can fill a salon even before they open with this model. When estheticians aren't selling very well, we have our best salespeople in the company. They join a sales certification coaching program, and we can offer those services to franchisees. So the franchisee that's not good at selling can use other estheticians to leverage that. Hiring, we have a full HR department that you can actually pay to help you hire people. So if you don't want to hire, you can help with that side. And then other things like reception. Reception's a really hard thing for most companies, especially in the beauty space. You got to get that right. We do all of the reception for the franchisees. It's a full service platform, meaning you, depending on how many appointments you have in a month, if you have 100 appointments, you pay $325 for reception. And we do full scale. We have AI automation that handles 65% of all the communication that comes in. And then we have people overseas that handles the rest of this. Usually it's all through text, so we're not actually on the phone that often. And there are booking flows and everything else. That's all handled internally at the headquarters. So our actual salons are receptionless. And what I've found from my personal salons is that it's dropped my reception costs in half by using this economy of scale here. And so in doing that, it pushes more profits to the franchisees and the bottom line.
Wow. So is your AI technology that you use, it must be like a conversational type AI if it's being used to book appointments, or are there like live individuals offshore that are managing that texting?
Yeah, when we started the franchise, it was all offshore. And then I went in and built off like a language script for them to respond to customers. When you call in, it says, hey, as soon as you hang up, we'll text you and we'll book your appointment. And so then I built the scripts, and there's only a couple ways to skin a cat in this guy. It's like, what do you need? I got to reschedule. I got to book. I'm on my period. What should I do? I got a membership. I need to pause, cancel my membership. Like, I mean, really, I'm running late for an appointment. Like there's probably a 20 different modalities, which we call intents of a customer's like sentiment. So we took those 20 intents and we built a long wiki, like a Wikipedia article. We answered those in full detail. Hey, I'm lost. Okay, here's what you do. Here's a link to what you need to do if you're lost. I'm on my period. That's okay. You can come in too. Here's some of the details on that. Then we overlaid an LLM onto that wiki and use that wiki to answer the questions of the people. And so once we ran through thousands and thousands of scripts on this, once we found that the LLM, the AI, was able to find the right intent with 98% certainty, then we trained it with this wiki on the responses. And once we got to 98% confidence on the response, then we released the intent to the public. And so at this point, our AI system's at about 65% full automation, which is, I think, best in class. Lululemon's at about 70% automation, just for comparison.
Wow.
On an e-commerce store, which is a much easier product than a service store. And so I'm really impressed with what we've been able to accomplish here.
That is, it is mind blowing. I just can, this, what AI can do and how you can train it is just, and being able to implement that into your business model and it translate to cost savings is fantastic. Okay. So as far as what would you say, because this, you mentioned executive model is the terminology you use. So how many hours a week? This is what I get asked all the time. If an investor is going in as an executive model, how many hours per week do you envision they would be spending on the business?
Yeah, I think the average owner is spending 5 to 10 hours a week. 95% of the owners keep their full-time jobs, and this is a side hustle until it becomes their full-time job. So it's not something that really requires, you can't be in the room, you can't be waxing.
Right.
You don't have reception, so it's like half the staff that you would need to manage. If you operate in one suite location, you're looking at 3 to 4 employees. So it's not a ton of work to manage this business. And you might be checking in at the end of the day, you might be making sure that things are going well. Again, part of our whole model is like, how do we eliminate hours from the franchise owner to like just make sure we're super successful? So we actually provide managers a la carte on demand for franchise owners at $14 an hour overseas. So these are people that are not strong accents, not like what you think like a low paid employee. I'm talking people that have bachelor's and master's degrees, extremely proficient, but might live in a country where like Ethiopia, where the pay is not great, right? And so, but we can get phenomenally brilliant people like this to manage our salons. We created a whole program, teach them how to do it. They can do 80% of the work of managing these salons. And then that extra personal touch, which is what we need the franchise owners for, of actually taking care of the employees and making sure they're successful, is the second part of this. And that's where the franchise owners really spend most of their time.
Wow, just fascinating. Okay, so how long? So from the time of signing a franchise agreement, how long does it take for an owner to get up and running in a salon suite?
Yeah. So just to compare this, so I can answer this question, a traditional model flagship takes about a year. From the day you say, I want to do this, to the day you open is a year, because you have 2 to 3 months of looking for a place. You got to get a permit. The permit's going to take 3 to 4 months. Architectural plans are somewhere in there, so maybe 6 months until all that's like kind of figured out, and then 3 months to build it out. So like when it's like all said and done, it's about a year to get open. Our suite concept takes a week to build and a month to find employees. So add in some time to learn the business, and you're up and running within 3 months, which is phenomenally fast. And by the time you're up and running, you're gonna train for a week. We're gonna fly a trainer out, train that week. The week we train, we turn our ads live. We've done this 100 times, so we know exactly what ads to push, how much money to spend. Like it's all just clockwork at this point. And we're going to fill your books with appointments so that by Saturday, you got a full book of appointments or close to full book, and then you continue building from there. That's the concept. And so then let's say you wanted to go into flagship right away. Well, you still could start the process, look for a flagship while your suite's gestating and growing. And by the time your suite's ready to be turned to a flagship, take the suite, all the revenue, close that down, and convert that into the flagship location. And now you're off to the races a year later with revenue and people involved, and the whole process is so much smoother.
So for the suite concept, are you starting with just maybe one or two employees at first?
Yeah, we like to hire three.
Okay.
My experience with hiring is that we get it really right one time, we get it middle of the road one time, and we get it wrong one time. And so if I hire three, I'm expecting two to stay. And about 3 months later, I'm going to hire a third employee again or a fourth employee. So that's the hard part. I mean, when we look at like ramp rates for franchisees, it's really dependent on how good the employees are off the gate. If
Yeah.
employees are amazing, the ramp's right on track and model. If the employees stagnate, then we start to see that they don't perform as well, the profitability is less, and you're not growing as fast as you could be because they're not selling memberships as well.
And what type of experience? So the laser aside, we know that's an anomaly, right? In some states, but just purely waxing and sugaring, what type of experience does an employee need to have?
Yeah, this is actually a great question, Stacey, because one of the things that really bothered or like really concerned me when I was starting out was I didn't want employees that were looking for a job. I wanted them to look for a career. I want employees that are going to stay for a long time. And with aesthetics, you have to get an esthetician license. The esthetician license is 600 hours, typically 600 hours, and 6 to 9 months. So you go to school to do skin related services. And so the people that we hire, they knew they wanted to do this. This is what they want to do. They're in their field of trade. It's a very different type of employee than someone in fast food that might just be with you while they're in college. And that was a really important thing. And honestly, it's not like a lot of people worry about this. I get asked this a lot at conventions, like how hard is it to find employees? It's not hard. We've not had much trouble finding employees or like in hiring them or keeping them or retaining them. Like the shortage issue that you see on the 𝐃𝐨𝐧'𝐭 side is not as big of a problem on the aesthetic side.
Gotcha. Well, that's good to know. All right. So, what am I missing? Am I missing anything that our listeners would want to know?
Startup costs and financial performance.
Yep. That's where I was going to head next. So, you beat me to it. All right. So, your average investment then for Hello Sugar, and this is going to be, I imagine, for the flagship location, is between 269,000 and about 615,000. And we know for any brick and mortar location, the big swing in that causing that differential is real estate. and the investment in that line item. Certainly a salon suite. What's the average investment for the startup in the salon suite?
Yeah, good question. Let me just kind of like articulate this a little bit. When we look at investments, from a legal perspective as a franchisor, we err on the side of caution. Okay, so that's why that range is 200 to 600. That's a huge range. It's not like it's going to take that much of a difference to build things out. We have average costs. I'd say average is 350 to build something out. But if somebody finds a piece of real estate that's already built out, like I'm opening 2 locations right now from competitors that closed. And so my costs are less than 200,000 all in for everything to build these 2 out, including run rates and like the whole thing. And I think that's possible to find for a lot of people, somewhere in that lower range, if they're patient, right? And that's the benefit of the suites, is because we can be patient to wait for the right spot, because it's not like we have to open this up. We're already open and running. Like we can take our time with these things and just get these right. And so suites cost about 100, 110 all in for your first one, and it's less than that for your next 2 to 3 that get opened per location. And then what that 110 goes towards, it goes towards the flagship location. So the franchise fee is 50,000 of that. That is already applied to the flagship. And then your location itself, that room to build out, it's only about $20,000, $25,000. So all of that, also all the supplies, materials, and everything can transfer over. So a lot of your suite transfers over to the flagship. And yeah, so you're really, your costs, you should look at that at the flagship level.
I love it. All right. So the big question now, and the final question, what can you share with us from an ROI standpoint that is listed in your franchise disclosure document, item 19?
We, from the beginning, wanted to be radically transparent. That's a big thing for me. I want to know that my franchisees know exactly what they're getting into, what the business is, and what it brings. That's super important. So, if you look at every other waxing concept or hair removal concept, no profits are given at all, except for us. We publish everybody's numbers. If you've been open over a year, you're published in our FTD. Now we're growing really fast, as you've seen. So our numbers are weighted on the side of immature salons in terms of growth. So when we look at like our senior salon suite concepts, we're looking at 60 to 100K profit a year on senior salon suite concepts. But that's not the goal. The goal is not to stay a suite. The goal is to use the suite to incubate into a flagship. On the flagships, we're looking at $100,000 to $250,000 range, with the suites being about $150,000 to $180,000 on flagships. And those are performing extremely well. And with laser, I'm very excited to say that those numbers are going to go even higher.
That'll be exciting to watch. I do love that you're incorporating that in, because again, it's a huge differentiator. And what I've seen in my experience looking at different concepts in this space is you will have a concept that only does sugaring, or you'll have a concept that only does waxing, but you don't have either of those doing laser. And here with Hello Sugar, your clientele has access to all 3. And so that is absolutely fantastic.
Yeah. On that note, I think it's important to understand the clientele have access to all 3. And the journey of the customer is to come in on a low cost free bikini acquisition of $10 or less, ideally, just to bring the lead in the door.
Mm-hmm.
And then they change into a $1,400 service. That's where the real powerful laser flywheel happens. And those numbers I shared just a minute ago, those were profits, not revenues. I just want to make sure.
Got it. Well, Brigham, thank you so much for joining me. I've loved diving into Hello Sugar and learning more about the brand, and congratulations on taking an idea and blood, sweat, and tears going into it, all your money, and now sitting here with 102 locations open with more in the pipeline. So
I appreciate that. That's really kind of you.
yeah,
Thank you so much,
yeah,
Stacey.
absolutely. All right. For anybody that would love to learn more about the Hello Sugar concept, please feel free to reach out to me at Stacey@fusionfranchising.com. Thanks and have a great day.
Thanks for listening. Subscribe for more on the franchise life.